you do the dribble, right? You want to hold the cards like this. So 3 fingers on the side, 1 finger along the front, and the thumb on top, all right? What do you think you're doing, sir? That is exposure. I'm just teaching a YouTube tutorial for a trick. How dare you? That is exposure. That grip you were doing dates back to Machiavelli, 1876. You have no right to teach that grip on YouTube. You mean mechanics grip? The layman will know my secrets, and I will never be able to do mechanics grip again. I've been in magic for 400 years. This is a disgrace. Shameful, shameful, shameful. What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. Today we got Dear Magicians episode 3, and this is one that I am super excited about. I got a lot of opinions, some controversial, some not, but we are going to talk today about YouTube exposure. Now I really want this to be an open discussion, guys, so please, if you love me or if you hate me, leave your opinion in the comments regardless. I would like to hear what your thought is on this topic and some of the things I'm going to get into. Now please stick around for the end because I honestly have a question. I have a question for everyone watching this video. If you're a creator, if you're someone watching this, if you're another magician, a hobbyist, whatever, even a layman, just answer this question. I just want to know what everyone's opinion is on this topic concerning books. It has to do with magic books and that sort of thing, but something I want to get into near the end of the video. So I'd love if you could stick around and give me your thoughts on that question because I really don't have the answer. So if you want to check out some of the private lessons or any of the merch, just head over to rfsleights.com and you can take a look at that. Anyways, guys, let's get right into Dear Magicians episode 3. And for the record, I have filmed this before Craig Petty put out his video the other week about YouTube exposure. I actually ended up filming it the exact same day that he released it, just before it came out, before I ever saw it. I share any of the same ideas, then I guess great minds think alike, but I'm about to film a reaction video now to his video, so I'm gonna watch it, film that, and then you guys will see my reaction and my thoughts on his video, and we'll see if we shared some of the same ideas. Dear Magicians, let's talk YouTube exposure. Now I first want to lay out an important definition. What is exposure versus teaching? Because to me those are two very different things, and actually I think both of them can have their place on the internet, on YouTube, but generally one is okay, one is good, and one is bad. But I'll give you some scenarios where the bad one can also be good and the good one can also be kind of bad. To me, exposure is when someone is just revealing a method to reveal, and a lot of times these days you see these in like short formats, whether it's reels, shorts, TikToks, and it's like, here's a magic trick, here's how I do it, just to show you how I do it. To me, exposure is there's no real value given in the reason for exposing it. You're just showing how it's done, whether to ruin the magic or give a behind the scenes look, which one of those I think is not good and one I do think is fine, depending on the context. And generally, I think those videos are more targeted towards laymen. So they're revealing basic tricks that magicians, we all know how they work, but laymen might not, or they're just tailored in a sense like, watch to see the secret rather than learn how to do this magic trick, right? So I think exposure, to me, there is a good way to do exposure. It's in a entertainment purpose, right? Like I've done a whole series on magic exposure called Behind the Screens, and I am working very hard on episode 4, hoping to bring it out soon. Now guys, if you haven't seen it, and I know a lot of you haven't because they haven't got as many views as many of the other videos on my channel, but I think they are some of the best videos I've ever made. Go check out my Behind the Scenes series. I've made up a bunch of crazy elaborate omegle tricks, and then I show you the behind the scenes angle of how we accomplished it, and it's super fun, super entertaining. Now those videos I think are great because they shine a light on the creative process, and you get that fun, enjoyable element of watching how the trick is done behind the scenes. And I think those are great because they bring eyes onto magic, they let laymen in, and they're just entertaining for everyone to watch. Laymen's, magicians, whatever, right? It's an entertaining side to seeing a method. Now the method is not usually something practical that it's all stuff I created originally, so it's my choice to give it up, but they're generally not practical. They're only really good for omegle magic, so it's not like I'm revealing the thumb tip or the double lift to that broad audience. They're fun to watch, right? The methods are actually fun. And I have put some of those videos in short 1-minute format where you just see the trick and then I instantly show you how it's done. And I did that, again, to appeal to a larger audience and draw more eyes and to share that. I think the key difference in that line you have to walk and tiptoe is if you're doing exposure for exposure, there has to be an entertaining value or an entertaining reason for the method and why you're doing it. And it has to be something that isn't just, let me show you how this trick is done so that I can ruin this magic trick. It's let me show you how this is done because it's really cool, because it's interesting. And also, like, generally I think like if you came up with the effect, like that's better. If you're doing the exposure aspect, like it should be something that maybe you solely came up with. I mean, there's cases where maybe it doesn't have to be, but it's kind of tiptoeing a difficult line. Now, teaching I think is completely different and does have its own set of rules. So when I'm referring to exposure versus teaching now, you'll know what I mean. So teaching is for educational purposes in videos that are made specifically for magicians. They are not meant for laymen. They're long, detailed, they go into techniques and intricacies that frankly laymen do not care about and they just will not watch. We'll get into a bit more of some of the rules here, but I think there's a lot more leeway when it comes to teaching because those videos are going to be harnessed primarily by the magic community and magicians interested in learning versus the exposure type video, which is meant for a broader audience. And I'm going to explain some of the reasons why those videos don't get watched by laymen and why it's not something we need to worry about. So let's talk about that now. Why you shouldn't worry about exposure or teaching, and this is what we're more focused on here, ruining the art of magic. So first of all, laymen do not care. Like I said, laymen do not care to watch teaching videos, and I have tons of evidence of that, guys. I don't think I've ever received a comment on a tutorial that was not from a layman. How can I tell? Well, they're talking about methods, they're asking questions about the trick, all these kinds of things. They want to learn. Right? I've never got a comment on a video ever that I can think of from a layman. Granted, I'm not a huge channel, but the point still stands. I do have a good majority of laymen. All the first people to ever subscribe to my channel were friends and family. So there's them, and there's a ton of other people who have subscribed from my behind the scenes or street magic videos, laymen who enjoy to watch those, and those videos get views and comments from laymen. The long, intricate tutorials don't. And one of the reasons I choose to make longer tutorials, yes, I like to provide detail, I like to go over every angle and give you all my different thoughts and try to help everyone in every scenario and give you as much detail as I can, but also I know that protects the methods from laymen because they're going to get bored and they're not going to watch all the way through. Hopefully you guys don't get too bored by all the talking because they are important things, but it does act as a bit of a shield, and I do think that's not a bad thing. You know, tons of the tricks that I perform day after day, gig after gig, you know, performance after performance are taught right there on my YouTube channel, and they have no idea. They ask to learn. I show them a trick. They say, how'd you do that? I want to learn. Sometimes they even say, do you teach that on YouTube? And I say, yeah, I do. But they just won't care to watch the video. Just to prove my point to you guys, I have a buddy of mine. His name is Zach, and he comments on the large majority of my videos to help the algorithm. Great buddy of mine. But I can almost assure you he will not watch, what are we, 11 minutes into recording? So let's say it'll probably be about 7 minutes, 8 minutes into the video. He won't watch this far. So if you do make it this far, good luck on your exams this week. But if not, which he probably won't. Go check the comments. If he commented, he's seen it. If not, he's not. But it's to prove a point that him as a layman probably did not watch 8 minutes even into this video that's going to be much longer, right? And this is a video targeted to magicians, right? So why would they be interested? This is all boring, rambly stuff that magicians care about. It's the same thing with the tutorials, a very similar aspect. And if he does comment and prove me wrong here, well then he's a great friend, even better than I ever thought, watching all the way through my videos. So I appreciate that regardless. Another reason you have to consider is I simply will never find the video. And that's to my point of I have a lot of effects that I've taught on YouTube and they don't find them because the biggest thing is they don't know the name, the naming conventions, right? That's why I try to title my videos like typical names of effects that we all know as magicians but don't mean anything to laymen, like ambitious card routine. What does that mean? Right? So they have no idea what to look for. And as a performer, you shouldn't be saying, I'm going to show you the ambitious card routine now. That's probably not a great idea because it doesn't mean anything. So why would you do it anyway? But there are things like this, it's going to keep those videos hidden. They won't know where to look. They won't know what to search. They're going to type magician, makes card, jump to top after placing in the middle, face up, and then it changed to a different card, backflip, 360. Like, you know, like that, no video is going to come up explaining that, right? So most of things are protected in that sense. There's always other people to fool. At the end of the day, I've talked about this in another video, but if 100 million people know how your double lift works, which is a huge amount of people. You know what, let's take that even bigger. Let's say 1 billion people know how your double lift work, which is way bigger than the amount of people that actually know what a double lift is. Like, just think about your immediate, circle of friends and family. Ask them what a double lift is. I guarantee you'll get like, what, maybe one person who does, if that, and then you're like, what? Less than 5% of the people in your close circle even know what it is. So you extrapolate that to the 7-8 billion people in the world. There's billions of people who you will always be able to fool with whatever trick you want to fool them with. Whether it's the thumb tip that's been exposed over and over, it'll always be fine. So there's no need to worry. It'll never get oversaturated to that point. And I think if you really think this is a problem, you probably need to look internally and become a better magician yourself. Whether you are doing a bad job of presenting fooling magic, whether you're putting your audience on the trail by calling the routine the name that it is or whatever it is, or whether your technique's just not that good, if people are figuring out your magic, it's not YouTube exposure, it's probably you. Now, I think on the other hand, it does actually help the art. Now let's talk a little bit about why. It brings new people into magic. It brings people who might not have been interested, and maybe they become a magician. They dive down the rabbit hole. They show more people magic. They become magicians. It's a great thing to broaden the art, expand the art. Very importantly, it gets more young people into magic. Whether it's just watching magic or becoming magicians, either is great for the art form, and this is the medium to do that, okay? Unfortunately, we're in a generation where people don't really want to read books like that anymore, and this is the digestible, this is the best way to produce content. And so we need to have a foot in the industry of magic video content on these social media platforms to continue to grow the art in this new age and get young people interested. I know when I was young, one of the first places I started learning was on YouTube, and without that, who knows if I ever would be at this point today. In my opinion, video is an easier and better medium to digest content and to learn from, because you get the full visuals of seeing what's actually happening. Even if a creator skips over a little intricacy with your pinky, you can just watch for yourself what the pinky does and figure out what you need to do. Now, I want to dive into my philosophy on all of this, specifically in terms of teaching magic on YouTube, something that I do. How do I conduct myself and conduct what I teach on this channel? So I want to start by saying a lot of what I teach is original. And when I say original, here's what you have to understand. I can't claim that anything ever, and I don't really think any magician can ever claim anything ever is completely original. There's always going to be someone else who thought of the same or similar idea and maybe just packaged it in a different way, thought about it in a different way. So when I say original, it's an idea original to me that I came up with on my own, thought of on my own, came up with aspects, whether it's presentation, methods on my own. Doesn't mean I don't borrow ideas or little method aspects or parts of methods or methods or small presentational tips, but the majority of what it is, the final product, has original ideas in it. And for me, a lot of what I teach on this channel is my own original ideas, okay? Whether it's some of the sleights, some of the tricks, all the theory, and I'm not talking my own spin on things. I'm not talking, oh, I saw this guy's trick and I didn't like this one move, so I changed out the move and now this is how I do his trick. No. I mean, a lot of people teach that on YouTube, and that's fine. But a lot of what I teach, and I try to keep a good portion of what I would say original, okay? And again, I've given you my definition of what original means to me, and what I think it has to mean, because at the end of the day, everything to be created has already been created. It's just for us to take those things, adapt them, change them, reinvent them, make them new for the modern age and for new effects and that sort of thing. So I do want to talk about a bit of a gray area, right? Like, think about this. What about if we take someone's effect, right? They have their presentation, they have their method, but we don't like part of the method and we change it out. And then we do the same trick with the same presentation, but I don't know, half the method, a quarter of the method, one move is new. Does that make it original? Is that new to us? Is the same method, but a brand new presentation new to us? These are questions that I want to ask and that I'm going to ask you for your opinion, and then I'll now give you mine, what I think. I think new handlings on old effects are worth sharing, okay? I do think using new methods and new handlings for old effects or presentations are worth teaching and sharing. I think as long as the method has enough new changes or something, doesn't have to be like, 90% changed, but even if just 10-20% of the method is changed, but it is a significant change that makes, whether a big change in presentation, a big change in, maybe now you can do the effect with a regular deck instead of a gimmicked deck, right? If there's something that makes a big change, it makes it significantly easier, makes it significantly better for certain scenarios, I think it's worth sharing. And why wouldn't we come to a place like YouTube or whatever where we can freely share our thoughts and do that, right? We're giving that idea out. That idea could, revolutionize the way someone does magic, their show, whatever it is, and it can be great. It'll help progress the art form and push it to new boundaries. It gets into that gray area because maybe in order to accomplish the whole effect, you need to reveal part of the method that one person created and then your part of the method. And that's a case where I think it comes down to your best judgment. And I'll talk about some of the things that I consider when I'm stuck in these situations. I also think that new presentations are new effects. Even if the method is the exact same, if you change up the presentation, you can take a card trick and turn it into an amazing piece of mentalism with a slight shift in framing, context, and presentation. And if that's the case, well, I suppose it's a new effect, and I do think it is worth teaching and worth sharing. The problem with this, of course, is, again, what if that method is original to someone else? And how I view that is, if you're teaching something on YouTube that is someone else's, right? We'll get into some of the obvious things that you shouldn't do in a second, but always try, and I'm a big believer in, you need to add something to it, right? You can't just take someone's work, teach it because you want to teach it to benefit you, okay? I mean, you can do that, I suppose, but I personally believe, and you have to add some sort of your own value, whether that's new ideas, new handlings, new changes, presentational effects, your tips and how to make it easier, your tips in the teaching of it. It can be as simple as the way you teach it, but those things are important, and to have your own spin on things, right? To add value, you need to bring some kind of new value if you're going to teach something else that, originally belonged to someone else, right? You need to, I think that's a big thing in what makes it, ethical to teach. So let's talk about the line. Here's the line, okay? Marketed effects are off limits. Things that people are currently profiting off of, making money off of, that belongs to them, are off limits. Okay, that's my general philosophy, and then all these things trickle back. So as long as it's not currently being, sold, something that someone's currently profiting off of, that's being marketed, again, within reason, some things are okay to teach. But again, it becomes such a gray area that it's hard. And at the end of the day, I'm never gonna, and anyone who teaches, it's never gonna make everyone happy. There's always gonna be someone who doesn't think you should have taught that, doesn't think you should have taught this. And at the end of the day, guys, for me, it's my channel. I will choose to take something down if I think it crosses the line. If I'm teaching something, I have already went through my philosophy. I've never taught something that's currently being marketed. I've never taught something that is on someone's membership. I would never do that. But after I've posted a video, I've already went through this process. So someone commenting, telling me that I shouldn't have taught it, I'm open to hearing their feedback. Maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe I've overseen it. I'm just one guy and it happens. But at the end of the day, it's my decision on my channel. If I want to keep it up, I will. The only, place that changes is if the creator contacts me directly. If the creator contacts me and asks me to take it down, I'll take it down, okay? But if you're just someone who doesn't believe that I should have taught it for whatever your personal reasons are, there's a good chance I'm not gonna take it down, okay? Again, I've thought about my reasoning as to why I'm gonna teach this. And so, like I said, my philosophy, marketed effects, off limits. Anything that was once marketed but is now public domain, let's say the copyright's expired, anyone can access it for free. Stuff that was marketed, but then say a company decided to release it for free. Like that happened with Reswindled, right? That was a marketed effect, and then they released it for free. So everyone can go see how it's done. I thought, hey, I have enough, ideas on it, presentational things that I want to help add to it, and it's an effect I love, and I want to share it with people. So I'm going to teach it because I want to teach some of my ideas on it, and it's for free anyway. Everyone can go, I could just send everyone the link if I wanted to, right? And I did link and give full credit to everyone involved in the creation of that effect. But once I've decided it's okay, I always think adding value and something to it is super important, and not just, teaching something how someone necessarily wrote it up exactly in a book, right? Adding your own value to it. And like I said, a lot of what I try to teach is original stuff of mine, and isn't just a rehashing or my own spin on people's things. I try to come with as much original stuff as I can, but at the end of the day, I can only do so much. Now, this is where we come to the point in the video where honestly, I can't make up my mind on this topic, and I don't know what the answer is. I see people doing this, I see people telling people it's wrong, I don't know. And this boils down to books, okay? Books are an interesting topic, and I'm gonna give you multiple sides of my thought process for and against this, and you guys give me your thoughts and what you think, because at the end of the day, I want there to be a clear decision on what is right with this, and I want everyone to be held accountable and held to the same standard. Listen, I don't want a yes man. I don't want, you guys here just watching this and just saying yes so that I'll teach you guys more things and you'll learn more things and get more tutorials, okay? I want you guys to really reflect on this, and if you're someone who doesn't agree with this, your opinion is probably great as well, right? Or even more valuable potentially. I want you guys, I just don't want to hear a bunch of yes men because you want to learn more tutorials, right? Books are tricky because you read something in a book, right? And it seems like a small aspect of a much bigger thing, okay? Now, I do think if a book has just been released, or again, is making someone money, you shouldn't teach really things from that book that don't belong to you, because you could be taking money out of their pocket and they worked hard on that, right? That's my philosophy for all kinds of teaching on YouTube. Now, at a certain point, books will become public domain, and then again, I think it's fine if you teach things from that book. The part where it gets tricky is, what if a book is out of print? What if a book is no longer for sale and you have a copy of that book? It's really unfortunate that people aren't able to learn new aspects from that book, right? Because they can't get their hands on it. And if they do, they're buying it from someone who already bought it. So the creator's not getting any more money. So at that point, you're not taking money out of the creator's pocket. So there is a side of that I could see being reasonable. Now still, I personally probably wouldn't cross a line of going into a book that's out of print, picking the best effect and teaching it how it is for my channel just to benefit me. I don't know if I would morally feel quite okay with that, but I would potentially feel okay with teaching something small from the book, maybe a small move that I thought was really valuable for whatever reason, or a little effect idea, but I would always try to add my own spin to it, bring something new to it, maybe use it in my own effect. Though that is where I think it's important, and maybe we should be teaching these things because it's adding value to the community, right? We're adding brand new creative ideas to the community, and we're bringing important exposure to some fantastic moves. The other thing with teaching small little things from books is books might have 100 different things in it. So if I teach a little move from a book, it might actually bring more exposure to the book. It gets the book out there, the creator's name out there, and shows a little sneak peek at some of the fantastic material that they have to offer, and makes people want to learn more from the book. I mean, there's always going to be so much more to learn in the book from picking it up than not. Now we're talking like, okay, if the book is still being sold and you do that, I mean, maybe that's okay. But that's a case where, I'd probably feel like you'd want to probably ask the creator first, right? You wouldn't just want to do that. For me, the sticky situation is when books are like out of print, and it's like, okay, well, it just went out of print. I mean, you can't copyright a magic trick. We all know this. You could teach anything you want. Any magic trick you could go teach right now, any paid product. There's no law against it. It's just a moral thing. It's a moral code. And I, as a creator, understand that code and want to follow it to the best of my abilities. But I also want to be reasonable and add value to the community. And sometimes, there are things worth teaching to add that value to the community within the guidelines that I deem to be acceptable. The other aspect is like, it's tough, guys. Sometimes, being a smaller magician, and this is one little pet peeve of mine, when you see like bigger magicians and they kind of boast themselves as being so much better because they got permission to include this little small idea or small move in their project. They got permission from the creator, so they're so much better than everyone else. And I've seen that on projects, and then I've seen projects where smaller creators or just shared a little move, shared an idea, gave full credit to the creator, but maybe they weren't able to ask permission. And then you see those bigger magicians who kind of say, oh, those people are bad, and I'm so much better because I got permission. But like, that would always rub me the wrong way because, well, the only reason you got permission is because you have his phone number and you sent him a text message. Doesn't make you better than anyone else. You know, I've reached out to people, I've sent them DMs for certain things I've wanted to teach. They didn't respond. Like, what? I mean, what do you want me to do? You know, I asked for permission, they didn't answer. You know, I just wanted to say that it's kind of a side topic, but it doesn't make you any better than anyone else. You just have his phone number, okay? And yes, it's great. I would love every single thing that I teach ever that, you know, has even the smallest idea from someone. I'd love to ask their permission, but I can't. They won't answer, you know, or whatever. Like sometimes they will, but it's just not a practical solution. Whatever you think on this whole book topic, right? Should we be able to teach ideas or, you know, use small ideas from books, you know, when there's so much else in the book? Yes, no, I'm not sure. Like, again, my general thing is if it's being sold, probably stay away from it. If it's out of print or public domain, then public domain, you're fine. Out of print, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, always give credit, of course. I think that's important. But at the end of the day, if no is the answer for you, if no, you shouldn't be teaching things from people's books without their permission and all that stuff, then there's a ton of people on YouTube to start getting mad at, right? Everything, so many things taught on YouTube are people from books. They just read it from a book and they teach it, you know, like a lot of the lame card tricks that you guys are getting regurgitated over and over by all kinds of different creators. It's from a book. They read the book, they teach you this card trick. It's not that great, not gonna get you great reactions, but it is what it is, you know? Got to try to be a bit more creative than that, and that's why I try to bring you know, fairly original ideas and try to always add something original to the effects. At the end of the day, the other big question that I would like to hear people's opinion on, there's a small aspect of something that someone else came up with and that's what inspired you, and you take that and you create a new effect around it. Is it okay to teach that with that original method? Even if it's a small part of it, but it's something you're using. In a lot of cases, I would say yes, unless that's a move that someone is selling, that they're making money off of that one move, then maybe not. But if it's something that is shared, an idea that's been shared, and you can take that and add value to it, and I think that's, for me, the biggest thing. I have to be able to add value to what I'm teaching. And sometimes it's as simple as taking a move and adding value in the way that it's being taught, right? Taking something from a book, teaching it on video, there's a ton of value in that to the community. I try my best to ask permission. I try my best to credit to the best of my abilities, but at the end of the day, I'm a one-man show with a full-time job, with all kinds of responsibilities, all kinds of other things that I do and hobbies, and I'm doing my best out here. So anyway, I would just love to know what you guys think on that topic. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it was a great discussion. It was great to kind of get my thoughts out there, let you guys know my philosophy, then ask some questions. You know, the book thing has been something I've been contemplating for a long time, and I don't know the answer. You know, I've dabbled with trying it, and I've got a lot of good feedback, a little bit of negative feedback from doing it. So I don't know. I still don't know the answer. Like I said, I don't listen to people too much who are like, oh, you shouldn't teach this because the reasons are usually not very good ones. They're not founded in much. And, you know, I'm always open to hear them, but oftentimes they're no good. And I've already thought about the reasons if it's gonna appear on my channel. I've already come to terms with it being an okay moral decision. You've never seen me teach a marketed product, and there's a reason for that, because there's a line that I have drawn. But I do think there's a large portion of things that are okay to teach if you can add your own value, own spin. You know, you're not pulling money out of someone's pockets, and sometimes sharing ideas from other people don't take money out of their pockets, they add money, right? And that's where you get in that gray area with the books, because there's so much knowledge in a book. Is teaching a small thing from it really taking value away from the book, or is it promoting the book? I don't know. At the end of the day, you can't copyright this, so it's a moral decision you have to make. And I think in a lot of cases, if you're adding value, it's probably okay. But anyways, guys, make sure you drop a like if you like this video. Hopefully you made it this far. It's probably going to be a long one because YouTube exposure, a lot to talk about, something that's important to me. Don't forget, please leave me a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts on anything in this video, but particularly the book question at the end. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy this type of video. As always, if you'd like to check out some private lessons, you can check the link below and we can set up a lesson. With all that said, guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.